Hi, Brian Haberlin here from digitalarttutorials.com, and we're going to work on another style now. This style is a sort of a more graphic style. I like to say this one is probably somewhere where we start thinking about more kind of pointy geometric shapes when you're defining what you're inking and stylization wise. It's sort of, if you want to look at some more examples, kind of this style is sort of Jay Lee's work in the middle of his career around Inhumans kind of thing. And so you really are thinking about shapes a bit. So let's go ahead and get at it. I'm just going to work with my G pen here. I have adjusted my G pen a little bit. If you look over here at the brush size, if you click the little arrow, I brought down the curve here, and that gives me a little bit more of a bounce. If you do it, I'm going to do it on another pen real quick just to show you the difference. But if I do it on, if you look at like a lot of the standard bends, see how they're like really smoothy? This one I have a little more bounce to it. You see the thin going to the thick? Just a little bit more. So anyway, we're going to get more into some brush making later anyway, so that's kind of a aside at the moment. So what you think about when you're dealing with this style is really thinking about sort of geometric shapes. You're really kind of going, you're like kind of angularizing, you know, the piece. I mean, there'll still be some smoothness here, but it's like if you think of this shape, you're thinking about up here, across, down. You're thinking of that line. You like that line because it's got a nice angle to it. I'm going to go see that line, go bounce, bounce, bounce. You can see how it becomes a real shape kind of thing. It's almost like you're making like an angular kind of French curve almost. So everything becomes sort of a stylized line of what was underneath it. So again, I'm not going to go like this. There's not going to be those lines, right? There's going to be this line and then that line. So you have these. There are still some curves in it, but there's no real roundiness to it. It's kind of edge. And some of them, so also too, a lot of times you'll be really shaping even thin lines in this style. So like, see how I threw that one? Really, at the end of the day, it's going to have to be capped or something that allows it to have a real stylization to it. Again, what I like about a lot of the styles I'm showing you guys right now, and see like that example, that's my default. I would do that. In this style, it's angle, 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 angle. Okay? It's not that you're just inking with pure straight lines, but you a little bit are. And it's okay to do a little double line on this style every once in a while. I think that always adds a little bit of interest. But then a lot of it is bunk coming to this jawline. I'm going to go straight. I'm going to take this line that's coming and go straight down. Maybe do a little cap on it, maybe fill that later. We'll have to see how we feel about it. So again, I'm not going to do these lines. You're going to take this shape and do your best to sort of graphic that shape out. So see, now I've taken that shape and sort of distilled it to an angular style. Again, if we look at the lips, I'm going to bounce, bounce, give them a little bit of that. So I'm really emphasizing, again, the angles that you would get in the piece. Bounce, bounce. Give them a little bit of shading in here, like you would get. Again, the mouth goes in. Give them a little bit of corner. You know, this is, again, this is kind of something that Jay would do in the old days, and I will mimic that as well. Go to white to clean that up a little bit. Again, we have these nice lines from John here that kind of match almost our style that we're doing. Again, it's all become angular. angle, angle. And even think about, you know, adding a little bit more. Again, as we look at sort of, you know, the hair shapes and stuff, again, and a lot of times too, you can pull these kind of shapes too, these kind of cross lines. Add a little bit sometimes. I think on that other side, it makes it look more like a scar. I think it works good on his right side. Again, not going to go roundy on the jaw. I'm going to go angular. A little bit of roundiness on the flatness part. And then we're going to go back up to an angle. And then when you think about these shapes, so John has the neck shapes, the neck muscles here, the Adam's apple here, all kind of very roundy. So what you want to think about is sort of, you know, how you would angle that off and still get the shape. And see how I'm kind of like doing triangle shapes here as I'm going. I'm going to fill these with black later, but it kind of helps you get the design a little bit. And see, again, I'm doing a little bit of an arc there. There's a little bit of a curve, but it still is very much a kind of stylized triangle at the end of the day. I guess you could really say that a lot of this style is about stylized triangles. See that little one I just threw up there? And then for the hair, you know, Jay would either usually do like, you know, it depends if he's blonde or if he's brunette. Of course, he's Conan or jungle guy here, I guess. He's not really Conan. You just start angling it out. Again, think triangles. Think, how do I take that shape and now define it by triangle shape? And I think there's something in the geometry, artistically speaking, with a triangle shape that gives you a certain amount of interest. And then, of course, you know, if this is going to be blonde, kind of give him some sort of highlight here for color. But if he really is brunette, just think of it as the whole hair as one geometric shape. I'm going to switch over to my lasso fill tool because this is the easiest way to do this. I'm going to kind of follow the shape that we already set up. Maybe add a little bit of flair. There we go. And again, this is the lasso tool, which is great because it's just as you draw, it starts filling in the black, which is incredibly fast. And a little bit of these, see these little bits of negatives where I'm not exactly matching that line? I think that's fine. I think that gives you some, again, some little haphazard interest inking. You don't want to necessarily have everything be perfect because then it kind of, you know, just tends to help things get stiffer. I'm sure you've, especially beginning inkers, have heard how you've made work stiffer. One of the ways to avoid that is to not try and be so perfectly clean on things. This also reminds me a little bit of this more angular, a little bit of sort of Alex Toth sort of animation stuff. And then, you know, come in here and fill back in your shapes. Again, I don't mind that double line. Again, I think it gives us some interest. And there you go. That's sort of a Jay Lee version of a Conan piece. You know, again, sometimes you can play with stylization then around the eyes. See what happens as I darken up the eyes a little bit more or give him some more stylized sort of shadows under the eyes, see how that changes things. If I want to go in and add a little bit of more of that kind of random noise, I'm switching to white. I'm just doing the lasso tool and just, kind of just flicking around some random sort of shapes in the black, which again I think can add a little bit of interest. But there you go. This is a fun style, and it definitely has character to it. Play with it. The only other thing, again, if you start getting a little more ornate with it, is really starting to add, just simply going back with the G pen and just, kind of doubling up some of the lines. We'll add like seemingly detail to it. You're just adding a little line here, an extra line there, line down there, line. It's kind of, again, it's like doubling up the lines. Like go here, add a cross one for the nose. So you can see how you can keep, like, if you want to add more detail then on top of this, a little finesse, that's a good way to do it. Okay, till next time. Hey, thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, please check out our website, digitalarttutorials.com. And if you have any friends or family you think might enjoy it, please, by all means, share away. There will be a lot more of this stuff coming up. I'm dialing up to do a lot more tutorials, so subscribe and stay tuned for more.